Excellent.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear.
I actually would like to be on Caribbean today, not in the grey UK.
I fully agree with that idea. You and I could just hop a quick flight. It's no big deal, right? No one will mind. Good morning, everybody joining us. Thank you for popping in early. We appreciate it. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes here. Make sure that we give everyone a chance to get here on time, and then we will get started for everybody. What I will do, though, is I will share my screen so everyone can see what we're talking about this morning. All right. Hope everyone's ready to learn about our itineraries and home ports in the Caribbean. We are really excited to be talking about this. This is a great area to cruise in and out of. The weather is always beautiful down in the Caribbean, so it's a great time to go no matter what time of year you're looking at. So excited to share that with you guys. Drop a message in the chat for me if you've been to the Caribbean so far. If you've ever been to the Caribbean, let us know. Drop a message in the chat. Ooh, good morning from Portugal. Awesome. I get to go to Portugal this Christmas. I'm very excited. It's less expensive than going home, and so that's what we're doing. Going with a friend to do Christmas holidays with his family in Portugal. So I keep looking at all the Portuguese things. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome. Good morning. We'll get started in just another couple of minutes here. If you have been to the Caribbean, we're going to be talking about the Caribbean. Drop a message in the chat. Tell us where you've been. Tell us what you've seen. Tell us where you've gone in the Caribbean. We want to know. Let us know in the chat where you've been in the Caribbean, please. In the meantime, we're just going to kind of hang out for another minute or two till we get started with this presentation this morning. For those of you who are just joining, we are going to be talking about our itineraries and home ports. We're going to be talking about what's in our name, right? Because we are Royal Caribbean. We're going to be talking about the Caribbean. I know I'm American, and so I pronounce it all crazy and different. It's not Caribbean over here. It's the Caribbean, but it's ingrained. I can't seem to help it. Can I say it both ways? Yes, absolutely. But every time I'm like, which way am I supposed to say it? And it comes out Caribbean every time. So I have to make myself say Caribbean. But that's okay. It's part of who I am. And it's all warm and tropical down there no matter how you say it. So we all want to go. I mean, I don't know about you. Maybe you don't want to go. Maybe you like it a little bit cooler, but I really enjoy the heat and the warmth, and so I'm always looking forward to a trip down to the Caribbean. Natalia, you're excited about Caribbean as well, right?
I am. I actually sailed quite a few times. And I think it's an amazing destination, to be honest. And I have a very, very good memories. Before you started your training, I remember when we arrived on the cruise to Antigua and we gone on the beach. I couldn't believe it's real. It's actually like a postcard with the sun, with the sky, sea, beach, white sun. It was amazing. So yeah.
It's so amazing, isn't it? It is hard to believe that it's real though. Pinch yourself a couple times just to check and see if that really is, if you're dreaming or not. It's hard to believe, but it's real. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. I do want to once again say good morning to those of you who have just joined. Thank you for joining us here this morning. You've got me, Christy. I am the Royal Caribbean training manager for the entire EMEA region. So you guys will be seeing a lot of me over the next couple of years. And this morning we are joined by Natalia. She's going to be sharing with us a little bit about the Caribbean as well, some of our different ships that are in different places, some fun different details like that. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in talking about itineraries and home ports, honoring that half hour you guys have carved out for us this morning so that we can talk all about this with you guys. We just want you to be a little bit more comfortable about what's going on in the Caribbean. And of course, no one knows the Caribbean better than we do because it's in our name, right? Royal Caribbean, we cruise the Caribbean, we know the Caribbean, and we are happy to talk about the Caribbean because it's gorgeous there. We're going to start out with a quick video that I have for you guys. So go ahead and enjoy this. Afterwards, I'm going to ask you a couple of the things that you've seen in this video. So pay attention to it. Tell me what you're seeing. All right. So what sort of things did you guys see in there? Drop a message in the chat. Tell me what sort of things you were seeing in this video here. Don't be shy. I'll tell you some of the things that I saw while you guys are typing up those messages. I saw some absolutely amazing ships. Fun, slides and lots of activities. Absolutely. Joy. Yes, that's amazing. I love it. Awesome. Yeah, so fun and activities. You've got all sorts of different options, right? So you might have recognized that some of that video was on our ships, but some of it was also on land, right? So we highlighted a couple different sections of Perfect Day at Coco Cay in there. We've got the family vibe going on. Yep, absolutely. Coco Cay is in there. And we also showed a couple different places, like just in the Caribbean. So jumping into one of those different water areas was definitely not on Coco Cay. It kind of looks like it's in a little bit of a cave. That is definitely one of our ports of call. So lots and lots of different variety that you can get throughout this entire process. But again, that feeling of joy and the family vibe and the entire aspect of fun is definitely a big part of what we do in the Caribbean. As this video says, we have 21 ships in the 2024 season, 2024 calendar year that will be cruising in the Caribbean. Now, you guys, just so you have a context for that, starting next year when we have all of our ships, we will have 28 total ships sailing next year. 21 of those ships will be spending time at some point in the year in the Caribbean. So you can see that we put a lot of time, effort, energy, and fun into the Caribbean. Let's talk a little bit about our Caribbean home ports so you kind of have an idea of where we cruise from. Now, your top ones that you're going to probably be selling from, because they're the easiest and they're the most obvious, are of course Miami, Florida, as well as Port Canaveral, Florida, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So those three different ports are kind of our key Florida ports that we cruise from consistently all year round, that you're going to find lots of amazing opportunities for a ton of different ships and itineraries from there. Additionally, the other big one that we cruise from a lot is Cape Liberty, New Jersey. So you'll see that as a heavy favorite. But we do have some other locations that we cruise from, like Boston, Massachusetts, part of the year, Baltimore, Maryland, Galveston, Texas, Tampa, Florida, on that Gulf side, on the west coast side of Florida, and then San Juan, Puerto Rico throughout the year sometimes. So we've got all of these different ports that you can choose for your customers, for your clients. But again, those top ones that we're going to be talking about today are Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Port Canaveral. So let's go ahead and dig in a little bit. I've got a couple different images here to kind of show you what these all look like. Port Canaveral, Florida is where we do launch spaceships. So that's kind of a cool option. It is about 3 hours north of Fort Lauderdale. And customers are going to fly into Orlando or MCO. Then we've got Tampa. Of course, that is going to have more of our traditional cruise ships cruising out of there, because we do have a bridge that we have to get under at one point when we're going out to sea. So it does make it so that we have to do those more traditional options. And then we've got Fort Lauderdale and Miami. We're going to dig into those just a little bit more in a couple minutes. So Miami, as far as destinations go, Miami is amazing and tops the list for sun seekers. So if you are looking for sun and sand and warmth, this is an amazing port to go to. This is an amazing city to go to. It's absolutely gorgeous and worth the trip. And it's great for for going pre-cruise or post-cruise and enjoying the city as well. Of course, a few years ago, we did upgrade our port in Miami, Terminal A. So this is our Royal Caribbean port specifically in Miami, Florida. We built it bigger and better and bolder so that we could get all of our cruise ships in there because we knew what was coming down the line. We knew we were bringing bigger, bolder ships to the world, and we needed a place to be able to go. So here we are, Port of Miami. They call it the crown jewel of Miami, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Natalia, will you tell us a little bit about some of our cruises that are going out of Miami?
Yes, absolutely. So obviously the beauty of Royal Caribbean, that as Christy mentioned, during the year, during 2024, we have 21 ships sailing out of the Caribbean. And the most amazing that you can choose for your customer any destination. If they want long cruises, fine, we have it. If they want short cruises, we have it too. So, and here you just can see the example of the long Caribbean cruises selling out of Miami. Icon of the Seas, Symphony, Oasis, Explorer, Grandeur. So it's actually very, very different ships. And it depends on your target audience, you can choose the right one. But I would like to just stop 1 minute about and talk about the Icon of the Seas. Obviously, Icon is our new ship, 7-night cruises. And by the way, 7 nights is the most popular cruises for our guests from our region. My favorite destination is the Caribbean East, but Icon is offering Caribbean East and Caribbean West. And just to give you an example on the Caribbean East itineraries, when the ship selling out of the Miami is the San Martin, San Thomas, Bahamas, and of course the ship is staying in the Perfect Day. So all the icon sailings is goes to Perfect Day. I have an absolutely amazing memories out of all the ship, and I was in a Perfect Day. It's not the topic of this training, but that's an amazing. So team, obviously icon is expensive, but this is where we have the price, the right price. So you will have plenty of the activities to do. And the one thing I want to mention when you speak about the long Caribbean, this actually very right to stay on the ship because if usually on the 7 night you have 2 nice days at sea. And can you imagine 2 nice days at sea on Icon of the Seas? You will never will be bored. It's a lot of fun to do. And if you look on the short Caribbean cruises, I believe it's on the next slide. Yes, so again, it's a beautiful choice of the ships they're sailing from Miami. But again, I want to mention about the Utopia of the Seas. This is a very new concept for us. And actually, when I spoke with a few agents, I was hearing that, oh, it's very difficult to sell because it's short cruises. But if you will think from different sides, so Utopia is the biggest weekend, as we call biggest weekend from Port Canaveral for summer 2024, doing 3 and 4 nights from Orlando. But if you will think, team, we need to develop ourselves. We need to look for the new to cruise. And this is where the massive opportunity for you to sell your guest as the cruise as a package. So you're selling them hotel, you're selling them the short cruise on Utopia, and they will have an amazing experience.
Amazing. Thank you, Natalia. So then we have Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, Natalia is going to tell us a little bit about this in just a moment here. One of the things that really makes Fort Lauderdale and Miami fantastic is their distance to each other. Fort Lauderdale is the other port down in the same area. So, Natalia, tell us a little bit about why this is such a great option for both Fort Lauderdale and Miami.
It is an amazing because, for example, about 67% of our sales for the Caribbean is from Miami. So this is where we have a good airlift. And quite often when we speak about the Fort Lauderdale, agents say to me, oh no, this is very far. Well, it's not. It's actually just 43 minutes by Uber from Miami. And Tim, Alex, our key account manager for Eastern Europe, he actually even checked the cost. It's about $50. So basically, I don't know why we do not sell this enough because all you need, book your flight to Miami, take an Uber, $50, and you're actually the right point.
Absolutely. All right. Tell us a little bit more about what's going out of Fort Lauderdale. Oh, I guess that's me, isn't it? All right. So out of Fort Lauderdale, we have some amazing ships as well. We've got Symphony of the Seas, Odyssey of the Seas, Liberty, and Freedom. These are doing short sailings and as well as long sailings. We've got a mixture of different ship classes in here. So Symphony of the Seas is one of our Oasis class ships. Odyssey of the Seas is part of our Quantum class. And then Liberty and Freedom are both Freedom class ships. So these are big, bold, exciting ships for families. They're amazing itineraries that are going to give you a lot of different opportunities. So keep in mind, again, like Natalia was just saying, it's about a 45-minute drive from one airport to the other seaport and vice versa. The same is true in reverse. So you can find those best flight options into Miami or Fort Lauderdale, and they can cruise out of the best port option out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale. And it's pretty interchangeable. It's a very simple process. It's quicker than getting from Bologna to Ravenna. It's a much faster turnover than that. So this is really truly a great opportunity. Then, of course, we have Port Canaveral, Florida, or Orlando is where you're flying into. So again, that's going to be MCO. That is the airport code to get into Orlando. Again, it's about a 45-minute drive from Orlando, the airport, into Port Canaveral, where the seaport is. So all of these different options that we're looking at are a maximum of about 45 minutes. Now, I do want to call attention to the idea that it's about 3 hours from Fort Lauderdale up to Orlando or Port Canaveral. So that is not as convenient of an opportunity. You don't want to fly into Miami, Fort Lauderdale area and plan to go out of Port Canaveral unless you really do have that extra time and your customers are well aware that they're spending 3+ hours traveling. It's not as convenient, it's not as easy, but getting from Orlando to Port Canaveral or Miami and Fort Lauderdale back and forth is super simple and easy and relatively inexpensive as well. Some of the cruise ships that are going from Port Canaveral is Wonder of the Seas, Allure of the Seas, Mariner of the Seas, Adventure of the Seas, and Voyager of the Seas, as well as, of course, Utopia is coming into Port Canaveral next year. So she is going to be doing those 3 and 4 night sailings out of Port Canaveral, flying into Orlando. Wonder of the Seas is, of course, currently the world's largest cruise ship that is cruising out there, and she is our Oasis class ship, as well as Allure of the Seas being Oasis class. Mariner, Adventure, and Voyager are all part of the same Voyager class of ships. They've all got the fun, exciting things on there for families to do as well. And you can see that we've got a variety of different options, everything from 3 to 8 night sailings between all of these different ships. And the itineraries are getting all over to Eastern, Western, and Southern Caribbean. So lots of choices. For our home ports in the northern portion of the globe, of North America, Cape Liberty, New Jersey, is our key location that we go out of. We do this year round. We have a number of different ships that will cruise out of Cape Liberty, New Jersey. It's 3 or 4 depending on the time of year. Baltimore, Maryland, we do cruise out of. We typically only have one ship for about a month. That tends to be right around April that will cruise out of Baltimore, Maryland. Tends to be a more classic ship again, one of our traditional cruise ships, as well as, or excuse me, Baltimore is year round. Boston is the one that's in April. I mixed my bees up there. I apologize. Boston is in April. Baltimore is year round, but both of these two ports will have our smaller, more traditional cruise ships cruising out of those, just because of the size of the port and the infrastructure that we do have to pass through in order to get out to sea. So our ports of call. We've got 3 different regions that we really call out on a regular basis, which is the Western Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean, and the Southern Caribbean. And then we do include Bahamas and Bermuda. A lot of times those will be mixed into Eastern and Western sailings, but we will sometimes have just a Bahamas or just a Bermuda sailing as well. Those tend to be a shorter 3 to 5 night sailing most of the time. In the Western Caribbean, these are some of the ports you're going to see. We've got Belize City, Belize, which is gorgeous. Costa Maya, Mexico, as well as Cozumel, Mexico. If you're doing a Western Caribbean sailing, 97% of the time, I'm making up a number here, you're going to Cozumel, Mexico. Maybe even 99% of the time. It's pretty rare to find a Western Caribbean that doesn't call on Cozumel. But Cozumel is amazing beach day and some amazing cultural options as well, as this is where the Chichen Itza is. Falmouth, Jamaica, my personal favorite, fell in love with it. Georgetown, Grand Cayman is my favorite port of call that I've been to yet, and I've been to a lot now. Roatan, Honduras is also amazing, and then of course our private destination, Labadee, Haiti, which we'll share about in just a moment. In the Western Caribbean, again, here's just kind of a zoomed in view of what those ports, where those ports kind of are. Falmouth, Jamaica has Dun River Falls, and Cozumel, as I said, has some of those Mayan ruins, which are amazing to get to go experience and see. Labadee, Haiti is our private destination. So we do have 8 different neighborhoods on Labadee. It's absolutely gorgeous and it's a ton of fun. It's a nice, safe alternative, and it is our private destination. So if you have a beverage package, that's going to include your drinks on this location as well. And of course, we do have a lot of food that's complimentary. And then you got different options for activities that would come with an additional charge, like our zip line or our roller coaster. But you also have some different options where you can just go sit, sun on the beach, kick back and relax, enjoy the local music and culture, different things like that that are all complimentary. In the Eastern Caribbean, some of the key highlights that you're going to find are St. Kitts, Basseterre St. Kitts, Charlotte Amalie and St. Thomas, Phillipsburg, St. Martin, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the St. Croix, which is a U.S. Virgin Island. My personal favorite story is the St. Kitts. Fun fact for you: did you know that there are no snakes on the island of St. Kitts? The reason for this is because they have cute little monkeys, the little ones that they bring around that sit on your shoulder. You know, they're usually wearing a diaper or even some clothes, so they can sit there and it's fun. Um, the monkeys are not native. So in about the 1700s, they brought these monkeys over, and apparently the monkeys enjoy snakes. So there are no snakes left on the island. Personally, I'm not sad about that because I'm not a fan of snakes. So that was kind of a fun little fact to share that I enjoyed. St. Thomas is absolutely gorgeous as well. St. Martin is a really cool island that is actually split French and Dutch, if I'm remembering the correct island. I seem to mess that up half the time, but it is amazing. You'll see that the eastern is kind of circled there. We do feature a number of different islands in the Eastern Caribbean that will also kind of share in the Southern Caribbean. So in the Southern Caribbean, some of those ones that you're going to see are Bridgetown, Barbados, the Castries in St. Lucia, Fort de France and Martinique. You've got the ABC Islands, so Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao are in here. Puerto Rico again, Dominica, Grenada, Antigua, some amazing islands. And one of the things that really is fantastic about our Southern Caribbean ports of call is that it is less well traveled, if you will. So you're going to have a more pristine visit even. There are where we have ships going to the Eastern and the Western Caribbean all day, every day. We've typically got a ship in Cozumel almost every single day. You can find us in Martinique or St. Martin multiple times throughout the week. We might only have 1 or 2 ships that are going down into the Caribbean on any given week, which means that and we are not alone in that. There are a number of companies that do not go to the Southern Caribbean as frequently, right? We're still going, we're going on a regular basis. We're just not getting down there as much, which does make this a little bit different experience. These ports are just absolutely amazing. I always enjoy seeing the photos in Curacao because it's so bright and bold and colorful, which just fits right in with all of our ships as well, right? All those bold, exciting colors on board. So this is a great option, but it is typically going to be a slightly longer cruise. You're a lot of times for a Southern Caribbean, you're looking at like 8 to 10 nights to get down into that southern region. And then, of course, the best, right? The Bahamas and Bermuda. If you haven't been to Bermuda before, I can tell you those pink sand beaches really, truly are pink sand. It's fantastic. It's amazing. Of course, we live in the Bahamas. We spend a lot of time there because, of course, of a private island being Perfect Day at Coco Cay in the Bahamas is perfect down there. We'll also go to Nassau, Bahamas quite regularly. Sometimes we'll have ships that will call on Grand Bahama in the Bahamas. Key West, Florida. And of course, we also have cruises that will get into Port Canaveral or Orlando area of Florida. So you can kind of see here, Bermuda tends to be a one-stop option, but we'll tend to do an overnight or a couple nights in Bermuda when we're going over there, because you can see she is quite a ways out. And then, of course, like I said, those pink sand beaches in Bermuda are absolutely amazing. Let's talk just a little bit about our private island, Perfect Day at Coco Cay. I hope that you're all very comfortable with and familiar with Perfect Day at Coco Cay. You might recognize this map here, but I do want to let you know that last week the map changed. That's right, we just brought in Hideaway Beach. So this is a super exciting new venue that we are bringing in. It's an adults only venue. So for the families that want to leave their kids on board the ship, or the families that have their kids that are old enough to go to the thrill water park on their own, or different things like that. Or for the ones who just want to get away, they're like, there's a lot of kids on the ship. I want to have some adult time. I'm going to Hideaway Beach. We're going to have a all-day party going on. It is going to be absolutely amazing on Perfect Day at Coco Cay if you want to get away to Hideaway Beach now. So that does open in January. It is coordinating with Icon of the Seas First Sailing, so that we can open Hideaway Beach the same time that we get in there with Icon of the Seas. Now, we do have a number of different shore excursion types, and I highly encourage customers, especially if they're new to cruising or fairly new travelers, even if they don't speak the local languages, that it really is a reasonable idea to go ahead and take one of our Royal Caribbean shore excursions. We have options for everybody to make sure that we can get them all of the different ideas and choices that they might enjoy doing. Some of my favorites have been the Culinary Delights ones, and of course those active adventures, the zip lining and the snorkeling and different things like that. Of course, we do also have accessible adventures, and we do take a ton of time to see culture and sights along the way. Some great options for our families as well. And occasionally you can even find those caring discoveries, which is where we give back to the local communities. They're usually very seasonally based. For example, you can see the baby turtle here, and we do occasionally have that excursion where you can go and help get baby turtles out to sea and make sure that they all make that trek back out. If you're familiar with the turtle life cycle at all, you know that that's a big journey for them. So lots and lots and lots of different options in our shore excursions. Some of the features that really make our shore excursions absolutely amazing is the fact that it's a guarantee. So if something happens and your bus pops a tire and they don't have a spare on board, we are not leaving without you. Our ship knows that you are out there on one of our excursions, and we are going to wait until you get back. As opposed to if you go on your own and your bus or your car pops a tire and they don't have a replacement readily available, you still have to figure out how to get back to the ship as quickly as possible to make sure you don't miss your sailing. So you've got that guaranteed sense of assurance that you know that you're not going to miss the ship if something happens on a Royal Caribbean sponsored excursion. So that's a really great reason, as well as knowing that these guys are vetted, and we have taken care to make sure that they are doing things up to a certain standard and making sure that they are going to be royally approved, if you will. All right, Natalia, will you come and give us a little bit more information about our booking?
Yes, absolutely. But first of all, I would like to say that historically, for the EMEA region, Caribbean was always a big chunk of our sales. I would say on average, it's about 40% of our sales were booked for Caribbean, in some markets even more. During the COVID, unfortunately, due to the restriction on the flight, on the vaccination, etc., we dropped this. And I think but now I believe it's time to take our share back. About 62% of our guests from Europe are selling from Miami. And as we actually showed, it's not necessary just to go from Miami, but of course you just can grab to Uber and go to Fort Lauderdale. The most popular ship for the short Caribbean is Freedom. But this is by the guest number, followed by Oasis class ships, Symphony, Oasis, and Harmony. Wanda is the king of Port Canaveral. 52% of all bookings of this port are on Wanda. What is very important is actually that most of the bookings for the Caribbean are families. So this is where we can offer the most fun. Also, most of our guests are choosing 7 nights, of course, for the obvious reason, because when our guests go into Caribbean, they prefer to stay longer. But as I mentioned, Tim, we also offer an amazing choice of the short cruises where you can introduce Caribbean to new to cruise and package this with the hotel. And also 70% of all our sailings include Perfect Day. I've been at Perfect Day, as I already mentioned, and it's a beautiful port of call. And another one, which is really important, it's APD. So this is where you earn your commissions. And of course, I can in them, we have the highest APD. So I just strongly recommend when the summer holidays is over, children's in school, in most of our countries, the days became gray and dark, and nothing is better to start to plan your holidays in Caribbean.
Fantastic. Thank you, Natalia. Those are some amazing facts to pay attention to and make sure that we keep in mind as we are talking to our customers. So, final words, we want to make sure that you guys are staying tuned. We do have a few more amazing sessions coming up. So, Icon of the Seas will be next week. That one you do want to carve out a full hour for. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be talking all about the ship and everything that's coming with Icon of the Seas. She is a whole new class of ships, so there's a lot of excitement and a lot of information around that. Utopia of the Seas will be the next week. That's a 30-minute session again, and we're going to be talking all about the latest and greatest that's coming on Utopia of the Seas next July. Then we've got Ports of Call in the Caribbean. We've got our next cruise session, which will be about the Caribbean product especially. We've also got how to sell higher stateroom categories, MICE business in the Caribbean, and how to promote the Caribbean product. So all of these are sessions that you are going to want to join us for. So make sure you're signing up for those and stay tuned because they are coming very soon. All right, that's going to conclude our session this morning. Natalia, were there any questions in the chat that we needed to cover?
Well, I actually recommend, because the time is already 10:29, we go through the question later and we will come back to all audience if anything we need to cover.
Fantastic. That sounds great to me. All right, then I do want to say thank you guys for joining us today. I hope you had an amazing time learning about our Caribbean home ports and that you are more comfortable and confident in selling those now. For now, we'll say thanks so much and have a great day, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, and see you later.